Bienvenido, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Freeform Network. Send in those questions and suggestions, ffnquestions@gmail.com. But again, this is Freeform Radio. For our 200th episode, we got Noel.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us.
And we got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. We're here, 200 episode. We're still going strong, and I'm glad everybody could join us.
Yes, sir. 200 episodes. Man, that's a pretty decent milestone, man. I know some podcasts that I listen to, they've been there for years, and they got more episodes than us. But I think for three guys from the Chicagoland area, that's pretty dang good, man.
Consistency is important in this game, and I can say one thing: we've been pretty consistent, you guys, but I think I've been pretty good.
Yeah, or at least mildly good, something like that. But we'd like to thank everybody for listening and joining us on this trip, and to continue to be with us for the next 200. But let's jump into it. Andy, fill us in on this Pence quote, man. He was the vice president, the last president. And I guess there's a quote that's out there that's causing some stir. What is it, man?
Well, you know me. I'm a connoisseur of news. So they had this debate, like a convention, recently. The Blaze. It was a lot of it was aired on the Blaze. It's a conservative group or like media platform, and Tucker Carlson was the one doing an interview, and a lot of them that were there were running for the nomination for the Republican side, and Pence was on there, and him and Tucker Carlson, he was giving them some good questions, and the one that got him in trouble was they were talking about Ukraine, and then he goes to Pence. This is the quote I got. Your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who receive tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask. Where's the concern for the United States in that? And Pence replied, that's not my concern. And needless to say, he got roasted. People were shocked. He went into a little bit detail afterwards, but his initial response goes, that's not my concern, about cities in America and all that stuff. And he was more concerned of getting help to Ukraine. And that's not my concern quote that's all over the place on Twitter. I got a lot of people up in arms, and needless to say, he's being bashed. Like, he's an elite. He's like part of the global elite, and that just goes into say like what's going on with Ukraine. I don't know how much you guys looked into it, but he got a lot of flack for it. I don't know if you guys know about that, interviewed other people. I know there's a growing thing in the United States, from what I read. Ukraine's not doing too good. The Russians are going to kick in their ass, and they keep sending money and weapons. And I think this weekend Biden called up troops or something, some reservists, like 3,000. So this thing is escalating. But needless to say, going back to Pence, his response was like what got everybody riled up. Like, they don't care about the U.S. or the big cities. Everybody knows the big cities. The big three: New York City, Chicago. They're all big Democrats, and California, L.A., San Francisco. That shit it's a shit show. People are leaving. And here in Chicago, we got a new mayor, and there's still a high murder rate. And what is the federal government going to do? And then Trump did offer some things to Lightfoot, but other political wrangling that was going on at the time, Pence just goes, that's not my concern. So a lot of people were shocked at that response. And I think it shows the establishment's like true colors. They have this agenda, and mostly global, and they want to. And Tucker Carlson makes a point, like Ukraine, like what have they done, or what are they? How's that in the United States global best interest? And people don't know. I just know they're fighting Putin. And if it was serious, where people, the world, the Europe, the West wanted to help Ukraine, they just had a meeting at NATO. They would have let them. NATO would let Ukraine join, but they didn't. So that's another thing, which is fucking strange. Zelensky was there and he was pissed off, and they told him like, "Hey, calm down, dude. Like, you're gonna be a part of NATO, but not right now, even though he's under attack by the Russians." So
yeah, I find it. I don't know too much about it, to be honest. So I don't want to speak in ignorance too much, but to me, they're not part of NATO. I don't understand all this funneling of all this money into the country. I get it. People don't like Russia that much. They're kind of like the bad guys. But to me, I kind of see it like most other stuff that's international. That part is not of our concern. The U.S. should be of our concern. This should be the number one priority of our government, to figure out what they're going to do with the homeless, the drug epidemic, inflation, the economics, housing, all that stuff. They should be dealing with the U.S. problems. I get humanitarian, send them aid to help people that are injured, send all that Red Cross stuff, help the people that are injured, but we shouldn't be arming anybody. The last time something like this happened is when we were arming the Afghanistans to fight against Russia. And then what happened? The Afghanistans turned it against us, and then they used it on us when we were over there on the war. So I don't get it. If they're not even part of NATO, I don't understand what's the rally behind them. I get it. There's a lot of good Ukraine people out there that are innocent people, like there are in any war. There's a lot of innocent people, but I don't understand what's all the involvements. But my prayers do go out to all the people affected, war and death and totalitarian governments like that. It is difficult. So I do, my heart is with that too.
Yeah, no, it's a complicated situation. Definitely, because I mean it involves human life and the loss of innocent life. I mean, another fellow human, like how can you not feel for those people going through that? You know, I try to put myself in their shoes. Like if I'm just a regular day and I'm going to work or whatever, and then all of a sudden, we can't because there's like a freaking tank rolling through or something. I mean, that's just uprooting your life, like, flipping your life upside down. It's got to be incredibly difficult. But there are many things going on here in the United States that I think our government should be trying to focus on, rather than, letting ourselves kind of break away from like healing and from like recovering from. Right now the economy is like going through just this horrible time right now. So many people have lost money in the stock market, and everything is so much more expensive than that should be. I think there definitely needs to be a plan to fix the United States before we try to fix somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, again, with the political, the way things are politically in this country, it's so hard to get anything done. It's always not the best interest of the American people or the American taxpayer. It's like, let's use this problem to benefit the party, and it's done on both sides. Um, it just it's messed up. I don't know what else to say. I like it. You read, like, you see the news media too, like the way they spin this, and they're one sided. Ain't this neutral thing no more? Or we just report the facts in the news. It, like, they don't do that. Like, And the other thing is the way they, like I said, the news people spin it. It's a definitely, there's a bias, and everybody can see it. And going down to the new thing now, like Trump is the front runner, and I think he has like a 37-point lead over DeSantis, and then the next Republican for the nomination. So you started seeing he's been indicted. He's doing now. They're saying like if he wins, he's gonna attack. He's gonna use the government to fire a lot of people and get them in trouble. And I'm just like, well, isn't that what Biden's doing right now? Like, it's just like everybody does it, and I like why, like they're spinning it like he's gonna do something that's never been done before when everybody does it. So, and people get all like, because it's him, they get all worked up, and like everyone does it. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see where this is gonna go. We're going to the election next year. It's a little early, but you always got to listen to what these people say because it's like double speak. I'm pretty sure Pence really hasn't said anything, and it's it's interesting. Like it's all this double speak. You got to read between the lines. Like we were talking to, we had lunch recently, me, Danny, and a friend of ours, and we're talking about the Bud Light thing and how Bud Light hasn't, or Anheuser-Busch hasn't come out and apologized to its base of their customer base. And now instead of doing it, they're twisting it around, saying like it's you guys' fault. People are gonna lose jobs now. It's not like what we did. It's like your fault. And they keep losing market share. They keep losing money, and they are, it's just like they always say like they try to spin it where it's the consumer's fault, and the media is kind of going towards that. They didn't think it was gonna last, but let us know what you guys think on those two things: a Bud Light, Pence, Ukraine, whatever, at ffnquestions@gmail.com. Something real quick. I know maybe when the episode drops, there might be some information. I don't know if you guys know about that lady in the airplane. Like, this motherfucker's not real. Have you guys, do you know anything about that?
I saw the clip, but I don't know what she's referring to. I didn't hear any analysis or like information on what the hell she's talking about, because the camera zips to the right and then there's nobody there, and then it zips back to her and then she just kind of runs off. So I'm not really sure what the hell's going on.
Yeah, there's nothing that's really concrete. Supposedly she was talking to this dude in a green hoodie, and he had all these the face tattoos and shit, and she kept blabbling on about stuff, and the guy wouldn't respond. Like I said, there's like a bunch of stuff out on the internet, but then some people say he didn't talk, some people say he did, some people say he stole her AirPods, and then he would just like stay quiet, and then when he flipped his hoodie up, she like lost it. And that's why she's like, this motherfucker ain't real. This motherfucker ain't real. But what I want to get at is, ever since that incident, it's been like a week or two now. Maybe by the time the episode drops, I'll have an update, but a newer update by then. Apparently they can't locate this woman now. I mean, there were reports that she got arrested. There's reports that she wasn't, and then there was reports when everything got settled, she wanted to get back on the plane. They didn't let her. So it's all over the place. But my thing is, like, the video, obviously she is shaken. She's like, she's scared. Something did happen. And, people are like, oh, it's a reptilian, or, all that stuff. Like, look it up, people. I'm pretty sure if you search reptilian on YouTube, Google will have some wiki thing underneath it. But well, my thing is, like, I want to hear her side. Like, everybody has social media, everybody talks about what the fuck's going on in the world, right? And this woman, nobody can find her. She hasn't said anything on any platform, and nobody said if she's been arrested. Nobody can find her. So I want to see what she says, or maybe she has mental issues. I don't know, but that to me is like, now I'm intrigued, and like people on Twitter are like obsessed with her. I mean, she's pretty decent looking. She's good looking. So I don't know. Maybe that has
Allegedly.
something to. But people are like, they're obsessing about her, and I just want to hear like her side of the story, or maybe she has an OnlyFans or something where she's gonna say what the hell happened. But
Have you seen it, Noel?
No, I'm actually looking it up right now as you guys are talking about it because I'm genuinely curious, and I'm seeing clips, and I'm like, they don't show the person though. They just show her
yeah,
her
pointing.
reaction. Yeah, I'm like, well,
Yeah,
what? That could be a crazy person. Like, I don't.
I
I'm
think
trying to
she's
figure it
high on
out.
like PCP or something, man. She's
Yeah,
like totally flipping out. That would be my guess, because you're right. Nothing's come out on it, and I have not been curious enough to look into it, but it just looks like the ramblings of a crazy person.
nah, I mean, if you listen to her talk, she doesn't sound. I mean, she's scared. Like she is scared. Like something happened,
but
and
like all these people recording different angles, nobody records who she's
there's
talking
only
about.
one angle where no, yeah, there's an angle where you hear her talk, and then there's one angle where you see a guy in a green hoodie. Like that's it, and everybody's saying it's the guy in the green hoodie. And then a lot of people said they were on the plane. It came out that it was fake. Like they were on there. So, like I said, it's all over the place, and it's I don't know, man. I'm like interested to. I like this shit like this because the internet always seems to all the bullshit that goes on in this in this world. The internet always seems to find out what the hell's going on. So, um, let us know what you guys think, or if you have a different perspective of it, or do you have a different video clip that hasn't really been circulating? I don't have TikTok. I just search on YouTube and Twitter and sometimes Facebook. But maybe on TikTok, there's more stuff. People, when anything breaks on TikTok, they usually upload it on Twitter. Um, but let's change it up here, man. Paranormal stuff, reptilians. It looks like Noel. I don't know, man. I see here you're thinking about going to a ghost hunt. You gotta be protected when you go to that shit, man, because things latch on to you, bro. What's going on? When are you going?
So I don't want to specify the day just because I don't want anybody to set up some shady shit when I get there. It will be probably like a month or so from now. It's hard to, I'm not gonna put the exact date, but it's gonna be a while from now. And there's this abandoned mental asylum, in Peoria that supposedly, a lot of people have died there, like hundreds of thousands of people have died there. And I think they even used it during like a time where there was like plagues, maybe. Um, in any case,
It's a
there's like,
hospital or a prison?
well, it's in a hospital, like a
Oh,
mental
okay.
asylum, like a place for the criminally insane. So it's kind of both. It's not a prison like where there's at least I haven't been there, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna see, but
Oh, okay.
I don't believe it was like a prison like Shawshank or nothing. It's a mental asylum for the criminally insane. So people that were murderers or whatever, but were thought to be insane. And um, s- anyway, there's this organization and it's like a small group of people that I guess I don't know if they own the location or what, but they allow people to do this like investigation, like a paranormal investigation, and you get, I think it's about 5 or 6 hours of free reign with the asylum. They give you like a tour for like an hour, and it's before sundown is what they recommend, because once the sun goes down, I mean, you have your flashlights, but that's about it. I don't think there's gonna be much lighting. But essentially, yeah, like it's just a ghost investigation, paranormal investigation, similar to how you see in other TV shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, all that. Um, since it's just me, my cousin, and one of our mutual friends going, we don't have like a ton of equipment, but I have a camera I'm gonna take. I got a EMF detector. Um, I think I'm gonna get. I'm contemplating getting the spirit box, but I don't know if it's worth the investment. It's only
How
80
much is
bucks.
it?
$80,
I get it,
80,
dude.
90.
I mean, you
Yeah,
watch
right.
that the way when you ask questions and the thing talks and shit.
Yeah,
If you
dude.
could figure out how to morph your Xbox sensor bar to fucking see the sticks on a computer,
Oh,
you know what I'm
sheesh.
talking about? That motion
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. The Connect.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of expense. Because just to go out there, I mean, we have to rent a car, we have to rent a hotel, and all that. And we're gonna do a few other things out there. There's like disc golf and all that, and it's supposedly some nice parks out there to go early because we're gonna get out there early, and then this won't be until maybe around 9, 10 or whatever. Once the sun goes down, and I think it goes until like 2 in the morning or something like that. So we'll see what happens, but kind of excited. Maybe we'll find that reptilian that was on that flight over there. Who knows?
Yeah, it's always me and Danny. I don't know if you remember this guy. And we went to high school with, and later we connected on Facebook again a long time ago. And early on, when on his Facebook thing, he was very into the paranormal. He was a part of a group and stuff, and he messaged me like, I do all this stuff, and like he was telling me some places in Elgin and stuff, and he did all the things, and he sent me some videos. I'm like, he's not into that no more. He's into working out and like conspiracy theories. So, but at the time, I was like, damn, should I do this shit? Because I was watching a lot of the ghost hunters and all that shit, and like, I don't know, man, it's kind of I'd rather watch it. I don't want to be in that environment because to be honest with you, it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think there is a risk definitely because the spirit world is real, and there's a lot of risk of attachments that you could bring back home. These things don't just stay where you go. Um, there's I mean a lot of it's folks tales, like the bruja and stuff like that, or whatever Mexican lore, el cucuy, stuff that you can go and that you could bring home to you, and then it'll latch on at home, and then now it's try to get rid of it, and it's by your crib.
well, I'll put it like this: like, I'm not gonna go out there and be disrespectful to whatever's there if there is something there. I, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna try to like bring any negativity there that would warrant something attaching it to myself. I'm also like there's a lot of risks that you take just in average everyday life. Like
For sure.
people that when you buy stuff at like a thrift store or a garage
Yeah,
sale or
yeah, those
whatever.
vintage sales. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you're taking all this energy that's been absorbed throughout years, whoever had it, and you're taking it into your home. So you know, I've had so many experiences in my life. I'm not necessarily worried about something attaching itself. Um, I think if something were to happen, I would have enough energy to fight it or be able to, find a way to not be affected by it.
Right,
Um,
right. Yeah,
I,
it's funny you mentioned like things like vintage stores. There was a garage sale that I went to like a month ago, and I saw something that looked really old, looked kind of cool, but for whatever reason, in the back of my head, it just kept going, "Don't buy that thing," and not because of the money, but more of like a spiritual like warning, like don't buy that thing. And so I didn't. And after I left, I kind of thought back on it, and I thought something like this. I'm like, man, is something attached to that thing? And I was getting a warning that don't bring it home, kind of thing. But yeah, you never know.
I went thrifting years ago, when I moved out here, and I found this Aztec calendar, like in solid wood. I'm guessing it's like they went to Mexico and it was like part of a touristy thing, and they bought it and they brought it, and I'm like, we don't want it no more. So, and it was like $4. And I was like looking it over. I'm like, man, this is fucking nice. Like it's like solid wood and shit. And I noticed they had like some like chalk marks. And I was
Whoa.
just like, oh man, like what the fuck is this? It was kind of like waxy. Like, man, like I don't know, maybe they're doing shit on this. And then I bought it. I'm like, it's fucking cool piece. I brought it home. I cleaned it up. I got a lot of it, those marks gone. There's still like a little bit of it. You could see it like in the right light. but it kind of freaked me out because, man, I don't know if they were doing some bullshit on this. And I have it hanging up. But initially, I was like like you said, then, like, oh man, what the fuck were they doing on this? Because you never know, right? And then it's like, but the price point, and it was like solid wood. I'm like, man, I got it, I gotta get it, and I got it. And every once in a while, I look at it, and I'm just like, man, I hope, because I have some, once in a while I have like weird dreams, like, man, maybe the fucking Aztecs are doing this shit to me.
Dude, now that you mention that, all right, so my cousin that I'm gonna be going on the ghost hunt with, he used to have this bedroom set, like I was the headboard and the box spring, all that
Uh-huh.
stuff. Minus the mattress, like the mattress I had my own, but he got rid of it a long time ago. His family did. My parents bought it and they gave it to me, and I'm just like, well, whatever, like I was moving into a new room, so I was like, I'll use it. And it was like one of those old wooden ones at the headboards, like it's like a beige, darker beige wooden ones. So it was good quality, and I still have some of the other stuff. It wasn't just that; it was like a bookcase set and all this stuff. But it was nice, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll use it. And growing up, he would tell me stories about how he would think that his house was haunted because he would hear something tapping on his headboard, or he would hear something like walking into his room, and then he would feel something sitting on his mattress,
Oh,
like
fuck
on his
that.
bed, and he would wake up like really scared. He said one time he woke up and he saw somebody at the end of the room against the wall, and he would say that it was a guy that was living in the walls or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck? It was creeping me out. Right? We were like 8 years old when we were telling these stories, so I was always thinking like, oh, it's just BS or whatever. And then once I got this the bed set, and I was already, maybe 20 years old. I wasn't a kid. I was having the most terrifying dreams of my life, dude. And that happened for like 5, 10 years because I had the bed set for like 5, 10 years. And then I finally got rid of it and we got a new set for me and the dream stopped. Now, part of it I'm gonna say is that I think my life was like not in the most like stable order. And I think I was just kind of going through some rough times that also just led to those dreams being the way they were. But I found a way to fight back in the dreams, and I found a way to like protect myself within them. And I think that kind of helped overall conquer all that stuff, which is why I'm not so afraid of the paranormal. I'm cautious, right? Like a person that's going into like an Amazon rainforest is going to be cautious of like poisonous, creatures. You're not going to go in there just like running around, like skipping around,
Yeah, you're not
I'm
taking
not,
it like.
yeah. But at the same time, I'm not like afraid that I'm going to be harmed in some way. I think um, where I'm at, I'm more stable, I'm more in control. I'm going in there with respect. I think I'll be okay. But
Nice, nice. I'll pray for you, man.
all right. But
Yeah, I got
yeah.
some holy water if you need some.
I got some too, and I'm gonna bring some with me. And I was telling these guys, I'm like, if I start hearing some spirits, man, I'm gonna douse my hands with this holy water and just start throwing fists, dude. Just start throwing, just in the darkness. I'm like, just stay away, dude. But shifting on, I actually watched this new show called Silo. I finished the first season just a couple days ago. It's on Apple TV. It's a sci-fi show. Um, and it's about 10 episodes, wrapped up just a couple weeks ago. And I would say I would give this show probably like a 7.5. Is my initial rating of it. We'll see how season two turns out. It could definitely go up, but with the first pilot season, it's always like there's like the cliffhanger for sure, and there's always some loose ends that I'm trying to see how are they going to tie this up, what's going to happen. So just to kind of give a summary, really quick one. It deals with a silo, an underground silo. So you guys have seen silos at like farms, right? Where they put like the grain and all that stuff. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, those silver containers.
yeah. So there's something like that. It's a massive one, but it's underground. And supposedly the people that live in there, and it's like the last surviving humans on Earth. And they say that the outside Earth is polluted, and it's not fit for people to live in, and it just
Wow, it
looks.
sounds kind of like those missile silos that they've retrofit for like the preppers, so that they could live underground. I
Yeah,
don't.
straight up like that, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have like these generators at the very, very lowest floor. These generators, the turbines that like spin and create energy for the whole silo. They've been there for hundreds of years. Like it's already the future. So like there's, we're no longer around at this point. Like we're way gone. This is like 21, whatever the hell it is, year. And there are some people that they get like access to these, what they call them, relics. Like it's like the vestige of our civilization. So like they'll see like maybe a Pez dispenser, or they'll see like a digital camera from like the early 2000s, and they'll be like, what is this? Like, wow, this is like some high-tech technology, but they don't know what it actually does, because they lost their history. Like something happened where Earth was just wiped out, and they were forced into these like bunkers and forced to live under like kind of a dystopian regime where they're controlled, pretty much like kind of like communism. Like you do this job, you do that job, and we're all in this together kind of thing. And at one point, some people get curious about these technologies that existed before the silo, or before everything went to shit. And if you ask to go outside of the silo, your wish will be granted. They will let you go out, but you can't come back in. So you're essentially going outside to die. And so it's like a crime to say you want to go outside. And once you say it, you can't take it back. You're going to be going outside and you're going to die. And so they make it this big event. Every once in a while, somebody will be like, they'll like mentally snap, and they'll be like, I want to go outside. I've seen pictures. It's fine. This is all bullshit. They're lying to you. It's fine outside. Then they suit them up in like this like astronaut suit and shit, and they send them outside. And sure enough, everyone's watching on the cameras, and they die. And so it seems like, yeah, like the world is gone, but there's more to it. And I'm not going to go into much more detail. I just want to say that I think the first season was pretty good. Hopefully you guys maybe check it out and we can
It
talk
was
more
cool.
about it. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did with that this week.
It
It was
sounds it sounds kind of like that movie with what's that, Goodman, the cornfield or Canfields, or part two. Remember
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield? Yeah, where part one was with the lizard dinosaur thing, and
oh
then
yeah,
part two he was inside like a bunker, and he kept trying to tell the person, he's like, no, you can't leave, otherwise you'll die or something.
yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think it's called.
Right, 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 something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, with John Goodman. And man, I can't remember the actress's name, but yeah, it's a bigger scale than that, but similar. But it's like a larger scale. I don't really know if there's aliens yet. I haven't seen anything like that, but for sure, like the outside world, the vision of the what people see of what the outside world looks like, it looks like Fallout. Like I don't know if you ever played that game. It looks like just destroyed. Like everything is like desert, and the trees are dead, and all of life is gone, and
Right.
it's just like a dystopian wasteland is what it looks like. um and the people are suffering in the silo. It's not like it's a perfect utopia, so people would love to partake in the real world, not in the silo. But there's a lot to it, man. Anyway, I think you guys should check it out if you get a chance to. It's about 45 minutes per episode, 10 episodes long. And again, I gave it like a 7.5. But moving on. Uh, so Daniel, looks like you've been looking into the myth of the Zodiac Killer. That's an interesting story, man.
Yeah, the myth of the Zodiac Killer is a 2 episode special that was on Peacock. So if you have Peacock, I kind of want to tell you to watch it, especially if you're even interested in the Zodiac Killer, just because it's so different. It's kind of like the Sons of Sam, that came out on Netflix a few years ago, where it's like this alternative theory where most people are like, this is the typical documentary. This is what people typically think of this. well, this is an alternative thought on it, and that's the same thing with the myth of the Zodiac Killer. And what it is that the killings are not even linked at all, the Zodiac killings, and that the letters that were actually written by a different person altogether, and not even these alleged killers that were tagged with the Zodiac killing. So it goes into a little bit more. It's based on this one guy's book. I guess they, televised it or whatever, this guy's book, or they brought it into this documentary. And he has points and theories and facts that align to that none of these things are connected, that as soon as this hoax of the letters came out, that it got all the detectives going into one direction, that this got to be the Zodiac Killer from the letters. And in actuality, if you would have done some like detective work and seen the facts, you would have seen that it's aligning to this killer. And then so he kind of goes through the 3 or 4 incidents that there were, and goes into different plausible killers for most of them. And it's really fascinating. There's something about the Zodiac Killer that's, to me, it's really intriguing, with all the puzzles and the I forgot what they call them, codices, where you have to kind of decipher them based on the symbols and the letters and whatnot. So it was always something interesting. But yeah, this was a while ago, late 60s, early 70s. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this documentary or even been fascinated with the Zodiac Killer.
No, I know of him. I think they did an Unsolved Mysteries on him, because they really never caught him till like the 2000s, or the guy they thought it was died or something, right? To refresh my memory, he was like, nobody got him for a long time, and I don't know if he got caught or he died or something.
Yeah, it's still unsolved.
Yeah,
The strongest supposedly theory of the guy that they think it is, he just recently passed away, so they don't know if it was really him or not, because even in his deathbed he didn't mention anything.
Yeah, they I remember seeing a couple things on my shows, like Unsolved Mysteries, and I remember reading or seeing something on history talking about the letters that were sent to like the newspapers or to the police stations or something, right? And they were like, this is not him, this is him, or some shit like that. I don't know if it's the same one. And then they thought maybe it was this guy, but then he died. Like, there was a couple people they had in mind. And the guy who wrote the book, is it a former FBI agent?
No, I think he's just like a publisher kind of investigator kind of people, where he worked for a news cast place, and then he finally went on to start writing books
like
and whatnot.
Reporter or something. Yeah,
right.
I might be mixing it up with something else, but yeah, the Zodiac guy, I know that what I recollect, like he died or something, but they never really caught the guy that was doing everything. And then there was a theory, it was like someone who did the letters or whatever he wrote was another person. I did remember seeing something or hearing or watching something about like that.
I think Arthur Leigh Allen is the person they suspected. It says here he's a school teacher in Vallejo, California. So is that the one that died, I guess?
I want to say so. I saw a documentary like a year or two ago that kind of went into like a new revival of people wanting to tag this guy, this school teacher guy, and it showed some new fascinating facts on it. But yeah, this one is somebody totally different, just because they're like the Zodiac Killer was something made up from somebody wanting publicity and had nothing to do with the killings. And it shows some really cool alternative theories to it. Things that got me thinking like, man, maybe this is true. Especially because the one fascinating thing they did on the documentary is they went to a linguistics um, company or something like that, and they showed like because there's like 23 or 28 letters that were written by the Zodiac Killer, and they gave them all the letters, and they're like, analyze these, tell us, is it likely that they're all by the same person? And the company actually split up like, all right, here are the first four letters. We kind of suspect these are by the same persons or person. And then this other group is by another person. So it showed that there was a change in tone, character, and penmanship to where it could have been another person. So there was some really cool stuff that were brought up. It's just two episodes, so it's like an hour and 40, 50 minutes or so. So just some cool alternative thoughts to the Zodiac Killer if you're interested. It's on Peacock. Go
You
ahead.
ever seen the movie in 2007 with Robert Downey Jr. and Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, I seen that. That kind of just goes into more of the news guy, the reporter, kind of getting lost in the case. So it kind of shows the Zodiac Killer on the side, but the main plot point, or at least what I got from the movie, it was more about the reporter. But it was still really good. I thought it was a good movie, and I've seen a few of the Zodiac documentaries. I'm in the middle of watching one that came out in 2007, which is called it's me, the Zodiac speaking, or something like that. I forget the name of it now. And it's going and talking to a lot of the old police officers that investigated the first cases. So I don't know, stuff like this kind of intrigues me. I think it kind of bores Alana when she sees it, and she's just like, "Ah, you're weirdo, I'm leaving," and takes off. I don't know, but yeah, if you guys are interested, go check it out. Something else that I watched with Alana, and she enjoyed it, and this one was the Many Saints of Newark. Now, I know, Andy, you gave this kind of a shitty rap when you watched it a few years ago when it came out. I watched it, and it's not a masterpiece, but I would probably say it's above good. It's not great, but it's good. Uh, and good, I say, to me, is like seven. To me, that's where like seven is good. Great to me is like eight, nines, tens, kind of great things. So I thought it was, I got a lot of nostalgia pops, man. And I finished wrapping up Sopranos for my second run through a couple months ago. So watching this movie, it was still kind of fresh in my head. Watched it, all the Sill, all the Polly stuff came out. It was all really cool. Um, the only things that were, I mean, I don't think any of the stuff is spoiler, but the only thing that I didn't really get why they didn't show more of was actually Tony's dad. I thought this movie was going to be based more on Tony's dad, and where it was based more on his uncle, which was cool too, because on the show they do mention Chris's father, and they do mention him, and he is a part of the show. But I didn't know he was going to be such a huge part on the show. Basically, the show is him. This movie, at least, the Many Saints of Newark. But I thought the movie was good. I thought it got a good nostalgia pop. The pacing was kind of off a little bit, but I thought the mom of Tony was like spot on. That lady reminded me of the mom of Tony Soprano, and also even like Carmela. Like it seemed like it was like a hybrid character, like almost like Tony married his mother in Carmela, because she reminded me a lot of Carmela and a lot of her mannerisms. So really cool movie. I thought that the only character that I thought they miscasted was Tony's dad. I thought that was like way off. That wasn't what I pictured him to be like. But
Yeah, the dad in the show was like, he was always like, to me, he's like an Italian dad, right? And then
right.
when they, and Punisher, he was just like an asshole almost, right? Like he wasn't happy go lucky. And then one of the things was in the show, in the movie, they kept saying Tony is reminiscing about how he saw his dad, and like what really how he was like they're saying in the movie. And that's why that's the two discrepancies. That's how they went about telling it. Like that's how Tony just remembers his dad. Like that's his
members and being
how
more
remembers.
funny,
Yeah,
right?
and then in the movie, he's just like he's a fucking. I don't know. It was just like I wasn't feeling it, and like he was. Not saying he wasn't tough. Like in the movie version, he's like a fucking hardcore gangster, and in the show, and then he's like, yeah, like he'll go fuck somebody up, but then he's like a family guy and this and that. Like I don't know, it was a big discrepancy in the way those two, that character from the movie and the show to me.
Yeah, I think Dickie, the way that character was played, that's how I pictured Tony's dad being. But maybe now that you bring that up, maybe it makes sense because maybe Tony picked up the way Dickie was and pictured that's the way I want my dad to be. Because in a lot of ways in the movie, that is Tony's dad because he hangs out with him so much that maybe it's true. Maybe his psychosis, he kind of remembers his dad being more like Dickie rather than being his true dad. But I thought the movie was good, man. It got me really sad to the point where not sad, but it got me thinking. I'm like, it sucks that this movie didn't do well because from what I had heard, they were planning to make maybe another 2 prequels. That this was only like the first one. Oh, so they are making another one? Okay.
Yeah, they might be. I remember reading something about it earlier in the year, but who knows? I don't know. I haven't really found anything since that with the strike and all this now.
Right. I know that's causing a lot of delays. Did you ever get into Sopranos, Noel?
Oh, of course, man. I've seen it a couple times, and I even seen the Many Saints of Newark.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't think I'd give it a 7. I think I'd lean more towards Andy with me not enjoying it as much. I'd probably give it like a 6.3 or 4. It wasn't a bad movie in terms of like how movies go. It's just I was expecting something different. Being like a prequel to Sopranos, I was expecting something way different. I would say one thing I did like, I thought was the best part was that they casted Gandolfini's son to be Tony.
Right.
I thought that because he looks so much like him. I'm like, wow, dude, it's like literally watching a mini, like a younger Tony Soprano. It was really cool to see that. Ray Liotta was in it. It was cool too. I think they did focus too much on Dickie though. And I mean, who would have known that him laughing at Corrado would, result in what it did? But I was like, yeah, I'm like, all right, it wasn't bad. It was just...
Well, I think it's fine that it's on Dickie, but that's what was before Andy mentioned that it looks like they are making another prequel. I was kind of sad because I'm like, man, it would have been cool if like this one's on Dickie, the next one's going to be on Tony's dad, and then the next one's going to be on Junior, and then the next one's going to be on this. And you kind of see like a little bit more into their life and how they intermingle, and you would have to almost make it like Back to the Future, where you like record 2 or 3 movies at the same time, so that the actors don't get too old and now they can't play the characters anymore. And you got all this recasting, so you kind of get the same group of people playing these 2 or 3 movies. And that's how I would think I would like to see the next couple, but who knows what's going to happen. But I don't know.
Sorry, just really fast. I think because or Gandolfini's son looks so much like him, they could still do another prequel and use him, and it could still be like a prequel to him rising the ranks. And obviously Gandolfini's son, I think he's older now than he was when the movie came out, so I think he'd be a pretty good role for him to play.
Yeah, like I was on vacation this week. I started rewatching Sopranos. It started on season 1, and I'm like, I finished it. It's a funny thing you bring up, and like the first season throughout the whole show, the characteristics and the of the characters is like it changes. It's like so much different from the beginning to how they end up, and I think that's why the movie, you're seeing a really young version of all these characters, and they're still growing and developing. I don't know. Maybe that's why there was some some issues. I don't think that's why the movie got well. And I know with the Dickie, like in the show, Tony always talked about how like he mentored him and showed him the ropes. And so yeah, that's why what happened to him. And Corrado too, he always helped out Tony. It's just he was more critical of him, right? And that's like even in the first season, Tony mentions a lot how Corrado like used to bust his balls a lot, and that's just the way he was. But yeah, and in the movie where I remember the first half, like yeah, Dickie was more. He didn't shit on him as much, I guess.
Right. I thought it was pretty good. Everybody out there, let us know your reviews on the many Saints of Newark, but pretty cool for Sopranos. We'll see if they do any more. But guys, I think we've left just about enough time to get into our article of the week. All right. So this article that I found on Business Insider makes mention of CEO lays off 90% of his support staff after AI chatbots outperforms them. So this article came out in July 12, 2023. And it's a small business. This business, I think there's less than 100 employees. I think if I remember right, it's like 60 or 70 employees.
Customer service was 60.
Oh, I thought the entire company was the size of 60 or so, and 23 employees were laid off, which consist of 90% of the customer service, because I guess there's 3 other people that did stay on staff in the customer service field. Or at least that's the way I kind of understood it. But read the article. I think what the article really goes into a lot more than anything, they hardly ever mention the AI stuff. They go more into this CEO went onto Twitter and kind of like boasted about it, and saying, yeah, is this tough? Yeah. But is it necessary? Absolutely. That he cut the cost of customer service by 85%. So he was kind of toting like, hey, this is a win. But a lot of people were kind of bashing him as far as, this is kind of in poor taste kind of thing. So read the article, kind of goes into more detail and some other facts on there, some comments from other Twitter people out there. But it kind of goes back to some of the stuff that we've been talking in the last few months. AI is becoming more and more prevalent, and little by little, it's going to start removing jobs. Now, stuff like this happens. I know we've talked about it. I don't want to rehash a ton of stuff, but when cars came out, people were like, what are horse people going to do? And so when computers came out, what are people that, draft by hand going to do? And you kind of go into whatever new technology goes, but it does affect a lot of work sectors. And I think people are not thinking about the long-term ramifications that's going to happen. This is going to remove a lot of entry-level positions, customer service, being able to answer a phone, check on a queue and try to give people help. That's like a beginner one-on-one for a person kind of wanting to get into the entry level in a company and be able to get there, get a minimum wage or halfway decent wage or whatever it is. Those jobs are going to start going away. They're going to have computers, and I've dealt with this personally. I've had problems with Amazon, and I'll call and then you get put into like this robotic thing where it's just like, what is your problem? And then you say your problem, and then it has like these automated prompts. And if it diverts too much from what it's capable of, I will transfer you to the next available representative, and it transfers you because this robot can't answer it. So
human, right?
Yeah, stupid human. Let me transfer you to a human. But what do you guys think, man, of the article? What do you think about this new future where customer service might be getting phased out?
I mean, I've seen articles about AI phasing out many different sectors. One of those was customer service, but there also was a mention in that same article that there will always be a need for customer service, and you literally just hit it right on the nail right there, or you hit it. What is it? Right on the head.
Yeah.
pretty much there's going to be situations where you need a human element to investigate and give you more of a personalized answer rather than just like, oh, you're looking for the status of your order, it'll be there eventually, like some random computerized shit like that. You're going to want somebody to be able to kind of give you that human element where, oh, I'm so sorry, we understand, we're going to get this rush order to you or whatever. It kind of gives you that, I don't know how else to word it, just like a human interaction. It's not so robotic and not so, you're just a number to us here, take your order. You're not just a number when you're dealing with a human. We can empathize and we can, try to, work around the situation. And plus there's a lot of problem solving too for some customer service reps. um, but I think it really depends on the work ethic. And I think in the article that you're talking about, there was mention of a detail about the customer service team that he laid off or fired, whatever you want to call it. They would take about 2 hours to answer some of these inquiries, which is ridiculous. Like 2 hours, that's a long time. I work in the same field. I work in customer service, maybe a little bit more on the deeper end versus just like that answering calls. Like we do a lot more problem solving and shit like that. Um, but I can tell you right off the bat, there's no way I'm going to take 2 hours to reply to somebody that's wanting to know the status of something. That if I'm at work and then that's what I'm doing, and I see this come in, it's not going to take me 2 hours to respond. I'm going to respond like immediately, as soon as I see it, and unless there's a queue, and then obviously it takes time. But I think even with AI, there's only so much that AI can do, depending on the situation. It depends on the company. So is it alarming? Kind of. There's going to be what is it called? Some will consider it a renaissance the AI is bringing to us, like just a new era of efficiency. But it's also going to create, it's going to lay off a lot of people that do these, basic jobs that don't entail too much problem solving. And really quick, and I'll wrap it up here with what I'm trying to say. You mentioned earlier about other sectors that were laid off when the cars came out and stuff, like the horses and all that. Well, when electricity became popular, lamplighters were also laid off. People used to light lamps in the streets at night when it got dark, and they would use like torches and whatever. But then once electricity became popular, that became obsolete. But that person, it sounded like they only had one brain cell. They had obviously a human brain that they could learn other things. So with these people that, yeah, they got laid off, and that's a terrible thing to lose your job, especially when the economy is rough and everything everywhere globally. It's not just the US. I'm fairly certain that if they apply their mind to a different job, they will be just fine. It doesn't seem like it's going to end the world by phasing out jobs that people are barely able to do, or like that it's like a basic level. And I'm sure people are capable enough that they could learn some new skills and be able to do a different job that AI can't do.
That AI gonna make me my burrito bowl? I mean, come on, bro. Here at Freeform Radio, we've always talked about technologies, um, and robots that take people's jobs and stuff like this. Like we had an article we talking about a pizza that makes a robot or something that makes like a shitload of pizzas, and the driverless, the AI driving the trucks and all this bullshit, right? And and now this, unfortunately, like you're right, the AI, it's a scary thing. I mean, it's gonna make a lot of shit obsolete, and then when can't do this shit, it's interesting to see what the fuck is gonna happen, because the it's doing more and more, and it's gonna streamline a lot of shit. I think. I mean, it's a plus for businesses and manufacturing and like every aspect, engineering. You're still gonna need some labor, people to do the labor, like to get things done. But the whole where people needed to go to school to figure shit out, I think a lot of that's gonna get phased out by some of this shit. And all you're gonna be, then you're still gonna need ditch diggers and shit like that, and people to pick stuff and to wheel it over and assemble it. So it's shifting, and pretty soon that might become obsolete too, because all the robots that AI is going to be running, and then down to the mechanics who repair them. And after that, I don't know. Um, I'm always kind of leery. Like, yes, there's a lot of things it could do. When all the fucking the call people would call and all that stuff started getting outsourced to overseas companies, right? And people would bitch about that. And then we got this now. Like Danny says, he calls Amazon. I don't even know Amazon had a fucking phone number you can call. I don't know what happens. Everything's always through the app or to the website. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're not talking to somebody. They probably got some. It's a tech company basically. They got something or something, some type of software talking to you. And unfortunately, that's where everything's going. I don't see this ever slowing down with the AI stuff, and there's more and more articles coming to say, this is the future. Like they're kind of telling you, like you're gonna get fucked. So, and then that's how when society's really gonna change and see how these people who don't work what they're gonna do. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
I mean,
I think it's like Noel mentioned, and I've kind of walked a little bit off the edge with this AI stuff because I was really, really worried about it. I was like, this is going to radically change the world, and maybe not for the better. But I get it. With technology as it progresses, certain jobs get affected and have to change. My only thing is that you need a lot of entry level positions that are
yeah,
available in the country, because unfortunately, not everybody is a doctor and a lawyer and has some super amount of intelligence to have these higher end jobs. So you need positions at the low end where people could go do a menial job that doesn't need a lot of training, doesn't need a lot of experience, and people can just start working and make money and maybe not support our family with that pay, but start going back to school, or maybe with two entry level positions, the husband and wife, then they could support a family and stuff like that. You need that capabilities, and if you start removing too many entry level positions or positions in that neighborhood as far as entry level goes, then you start having difficulties where you can't find jobs because people don't have the capabilities to go into school to become a civil engineer. So they're just like, well, what the hell work am I going to do to support my family until I do go to school and get some kind of, IT tech or some kind of,
yeah.
what do they call that when you would go to like plumber school and some
Trade
vocational
schools, yeah,
trade
which
schools?
there's a big shortage of it
Right.
because today's kids, they tell them go to school and be at work in the office, and they don't want to do welding, they don't want to be mechanics, they don't want to be welders. They've been kind of told like that's kind of for dumb people and it's labor intensive, so you don't want to do that. Go to school so you get an office job.
I'll say this. Do you guys use a computer at work?
I use a typewriter.
I use a Xantrack thing with
What?
what do they call those?
Soundtrack?
What do they call the things where you write it in and then you scan it and then it turns the text into writing on your computer?
A Newton?
I forgot what they call that thing. But
I have
anyways, you
no
were saying
idea
no.
what you're talking about.
Wait, do you guys really use typewriter and shit?
No,
Nah,
no,
bro,
we
we
use
use a
Oh, I was about to
computers.
computer,
say,
Yeah,
bro.
like, holy shit. I'm
I
like, I
got a
don't know,
laptop,
man.
bro.
I was about to say, I was like, I almost believe you for saying. You said it really convincingly.
The
I was like,
first
oh,
when
geez.
I got back and I got in working in an office setting, and Danny showed me like before we had all our blueprints on like a computer system or the network. You had to pull the original file on this drawing board, and then you would run it through this machine, and an actual fucking blueprint would be made out of the original. like, oh, like this is why it's a blueprint, because it's fucking on blue paper, right? And you had to run it through this machine with the dye or whatever the fuck, or the vinegar or whatever it was, and like that's how old. But we've updated a lot since then. But I mean, I've worked with that old ass stuff, and they had typewriters, and they were still handing out memos and stuff like before emails.
So that's kind of what I was trying to refer to, is that just in the last 40 years or so, maybe even a little less, maybe like 30 years, there's been a new wave of people using computers in business, right? Like, for the longest time, it was just everything was written down on paper. You had file cabinets, endless amounts of file cabinets with all this sorts of papers and shit, and it was such a massive like hurdle to organize. And you had staff just organizing stuff, and all day administrative assistants trying to find paperwork for you, dating back decades. Now you just double click on a file. Oh yeah, you got it, and it's done. So yeah, a lot of jobs will be like outdated once AI takes off, but we can also use AI to our advantage, just like we use computers to our advantage. So those people that got laid off because they weren't needed to look, for a file in a file cabinet in like a warehouse in the middle of the city. Now you could just double click and you got that file. Well, they could still do that job. They could still find you what you need to find, but now they're using computers. So, AI could help even people that get laid off because AI is doing their job. They could use AI to do something else, to do a different job. So AI, yeah, I mean it's kind of scary because it's new and we don't know what's going to happen. It could be for the worse, it could be for the better. We don't know yet. It's also something that we could use, just like we use computers, just like we use electricity, just like we use everything that comes out.
I'm with you that you can use it, but unfortunately, the the thing's gonna outsmart us someday. So it's just like we're feeding it more, and then it's gonna plot our death, man. No, did you not see the Matrix, man?
I mean, I honestly I don't think it's like AI that's going to kill us. I think it's the people that will use AI like there's already people that kill people, right? It's not like it's something new. Like governments have, there's been dictatorships. There's, Nazi Germany wasn't even 100 years ago yet, and that existed. It's not like we needed AI for like evil to exist and people to do bad things. Like humanity's almost ended itself countless times throughout history, and it's not gonna just be like, all right, now it's never gonna happen again.
But we haven't, because we have a soul or something, you know. We do have some. We know what's right and wrong. Something that's a computer, they don't think like that. It's just, or AI. They're just gonna think it as data, and they're just gonna process it. And like, if we do this, this happens. If we do this, they don't think about the impact on people. I mean, I'm generally humans have a conscience and they might think about that, but now in business people, I don't think they do as much as like they used to in the old days. But they have a conscience. They know the ramifications of doing this is going to impact all this other shit down the line. I think AI has no concept of that, and they're just processing data, and they're like, this is to get the result I want. This is what we have to do.
I think that's a good point. You know, a lot of people have a spirit inside them, Jesus or a religious belief or whatever. So they tend to be good people. And, not to say that people that don't have religion are not good people, but I would have to say if we were to poll it and investigate it, that there would be a larger percentage of people that are bad or don't have a conscience and don't care about other people. So is that what we're going to expect with AIs and computers, where they don't give a shit that Jimmy over there has a family of 5 and, he's been with the company for 50 years, hey, let him work off until he's retired. No, lay him off, get rid of him. We don't need him. AI, here you go. Take over this guy's job.
Just real quick, you seen the movie Idiocracy, right, Noel?
Yeah.
Where the guy Joe is like, let's just use water for the plants instead of Rondo. And then the water, so the government wasn't buying as much Brando or something. And the computer just laid off everyone, because they weren't buying something. And people are bothered by Brando. Like, people are freaking out because they're not getting that money or whatever. Like, that's something that's some AI shit. Like, oh, they ordered less because they're using this. Like, that data got in there and well, we need to lay off all these people to offset these loss. And people went fucking crazy. Like, you ain't so fucking smart, man. You got me fired and shit. So
put water in it, the thing from toilets.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Because they're so just used to the computer just doing all that shit. And that's what I imagine. Unfortunately, that's probably something that I think is gonna be real.
Well, those people though, they weren't even trying to save themselves. They were literally so dependent on the AI that they just didn't even think for themselves. And kind of like in what was that movie?
Wall-E?
Wall-E, yes. Kind of like that, man. Like, people can become lazy and complacent. And honestly, should we feel bad for those people? Like, we all have a chance every day, to become better. And if you don't, then I mean, that's a mistake, but shouldn't there be consequences for your mistakes? And the consequence would be that you suffer the life you're going to suffer because you didn't take that initiative and that's, your abilities to the next level. So, not saying it's easy. It's going to be a lot of hard work for a lot of people, especially with AI, getting better and better and more efficient and intelligent. Yeah, people are going to have to step it up, man. They can't just be like, all right, let me just flip burgers and expect, everything to work out. It's like, no, you just got to maybe use AI to your benefit by learning new skills and trying different ways and maybe start your own business. Doesn't have to be a huge business. It could be a small thing. Just some, residual income coming in from different sources. Learn how to use the stock market, learn how to use tax breaks and study tax code and shit. All this stuff is hard, right? But all the richest people that are going to be chilling at the top, they already did their hard work. That's why they're at the top. They don't have to work hard anymore. They just reap the benefits. All of us here down at the bottom, we got to work hard to climb up that mountain, get up at the top. Once we're on Mount Olympus, then we're just throwing lightning bolts all over the place, like Zeus and shit.
Damn, there you go, man.
Zeus
America.
But hey, guys, I think that's all we got time for today. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on Freeform Network. 200 episodes. I still remember when we first brought up the idea to do this podcast, and it was an interesting journey so far. Let's keep it going. So for everyone, if you're not already, please follow us on Twitter at FFR Podcast. If you have any questions or maybe topic suggestions, email that to ffnquestions@gmail.com. From Freeform Radio, my name is Noel, and we have Daniel.
Yes, sir. I'm kind of hungry. Gonna go see what I could find and dig out for some lunch. But thank you for following us for 200. We'll see you for the next couple.
And we got Andy.
It's all good, Andy. Want to thank you for listening. We outlasted a lot of people, a lot of coalitions that we formed in the past, and we're still here. A lot of those guys are not doing anything now, so we're glad you're listening to us on our journey through this podcast, and because there's so many options now. But thank you, and then we'll keep talking your ears off.
Damn, that's cold-blooded.
Well, again, thank you all so much. We wish you a great night and a beautiful tomorrow.
That was cool, Dad.